showing out, making moves, no doubt. FFA pride, it's what we're all about. From classroom dreams to real world flair, we got the stories you won't find anywhere. Beyond the jacket where the stories unfold, voices of the future, fearless and bold. Tune in now, let the passion ignite. It's more than a jacket, it's a way of life. Beyond the jacket where passion meets purpose.
Welcome back to Beyond the Jacket, the podcast where we explore the incredible journeys of FFA members and alumni who have taken their blue jacket experiences and turned them into lifelong passions and careers. Today, we're joined by Ellie Taylor, a freshman at Purdue University, double majoring in agriculture communications and agriculture sales and marketing with a minor in farm management. From running media for her chapter and district to building her own ag advocacy platforms to competing nationally in ag communications, Ellie has built an impressive foundation in telling agriculture story. Goodness, Ellie, it sounds like you were busy.
Very.
We're going to dive into your journey in FFA, your passion for connecting consumers to agriculture, and what it means to bridge the gap between farmers and the public. We're excited to have you. I'm excited to have you because I love hearing somebody in the ag communication sphere because it's kind of what I do. But why don't you start off by just kind of telling us a little bit more about Ellie?
Yeah, of course. So I was actually born and raised in Tennessee. So I lived there 13 years. And while living in Tennessee, my family owned and showed horses. So I did kind of multiple disciplines with that, Western, English, all kinds of fun activities with that. And I was super involved in the horse project in 4-H. My sister was an officer. I grew up, I was attending 4-H meetings before I could even walk. So it was always a huge part of my life. And then I actually moved to Pennsylvania, where I lived for a year and a half on the same farm as my extended family. So we ran a few couple heads of sheep, some herds with that, and then we also had a few beef cattle just for me, and then some pigs and everything like that. So I kept getting exposure to agriculture in that aspect. I dove more into the livestock field with that, and I lived in Pennsylvania for about a year and a half, and then I moved to where I now reside in Fishers, Indiana. And immediately, the first thing I wanted to do when I got to high school was join FFA. So I made sure to make that a big point for me and be super motivated within my FFA chapter. I took every opportunity I could, whether that was contests, volunteering, helping plan fun events, and then eventually leading my chapter's media. So from there, I was able to work up to different officer positions and different leadership roles within committees and managing our media, and really expand that from there and gain a huge love for agriculture communications and sales and marketing.
There you go. Do you have like an older sibling, or how did you know that you wanted to join FFA right away?
Yeah, so I have an older sister. She's 3 years older than me, and she was always super involved in like 4-H and FFA. So when we moved here, she was sure to join FFA and became an officer. And so I was able to get some exposure to that through her. And then she was very encouraging for me to like join FFA when I got to high school. She really urged me to, because I was honestly a little wary about it at first because I didn't fully understand what it was, because none of the high schools where I was from in the different states, like Tennessee and Pennsylvania, none of the surrounding high schools had FFA. So I actually didn't know too much about it before my sister joined. So she was kind of like the urging person to be like, hey, you need to join this, like you'll really love it. And so because of her, I decided to join.
There you go. That's so exciting. I feel like everybody that we've talked to either has like a person that kind of led them to FFA or an experience for sure. And so it's always interesting to hear what people's connection is and how they got involved. We've had people that joined in middle school. We've had people that joined in late high school. So it's cool to see somebody with your experience that joined as a freshman and kind of just has the 4-year experience, which a lot of schools across the country are a little bit different. Some have the middle school and some don't. And so I was one that only had the high school experience too, but it's definitely a great experience. So when you moved from Pennsylvania, then so you said they didn't have it at that school and they only had it in the Indiana one. So you moved as a freshman then?
I actually moved the middle of the semester of my 8th grade year. So a big change. It was right during COVID, which was a lot to adjust to. And moving to Indiana, we actually moved to the suburbs. So I wasn't surrounded by like agriculture where I moved to. And so FFA was kind of like my leadway back into the industry that I didn't really get to take part in for about that half a year that I was in middle school still.
There you go.
Well, there you go. Like I love it because I think back to mine and my brother was in FFA, but I didn't want to be like shoved into it. So my freshman year, I actually didn't take FFA, and I regret that now as an adult because I'm like, man, I should have had all 4 years. But I didn't. I didn't take FFA my first year, but even though I was literally showing cows, like I was in 4-H, and I was just like, I'm not doing FFA. I'm not going to be like my brother. And then I joined my sophomore year. But let's talk a little bit about when you first started running the HSE FFA chapter media. Like, what was that experience like? What led you getting into more of the communication side? Was it because you went from having exposure to livestock to being in the suburbs and you wanted to connect in another way?
So what's kind of funny is my SAE has developed a lot with like the mission of it, because
Mhm.
when I first got into the media side of things, I just wanted to be involved. Like I just wanted to have a role within my chapter. I didn't necessarily care too much what that was. I knew that I liked being on social media in general, and I saw that there was a spot opening, like a bit of a more leadership role that could be taken with our chapter's media, because we've always had a pretty solid media presence, but there's was room for improvement that I was able to see. And so I saw that as an opportunity and just decided to jump in because I knew that would get me involved in the chapter in a really solid way. And it was something I could build. But the mission of that definitely changed as the years went on.
So you started your chapter media. I have in my notes here that you then started doing the district FFA, which led you to your platform you have now. Is that correct?
Basically, yeah.
Okay. So do you want to walk us through that timeline of, okay, at this moment, I was like, I can just have my own advocacy page. What did that look like for you?
Yeah, of course. So I'll kind of just go over like the timeline of all the different media platforms. So
Yeah.
initially my freshman year I started with just making some posts for our Instagram, making a couple like printed flyers here and there for some events. And it was a very like general um, management role that I took with the media. And then after that, my freshman year, I ran to be an officer for my sophomore year. And so the position I ran for was reporter because I had already kind of taken some steps with the media. And I was placed in the reporter position for my chapter, which meant I got full control of our chapter's media. And so that's when I really found the passion for it and found the benefits of expanding media and how that can bring in members, how it can impact consumers and supporters of our FFA chapter. And so that's what led me to really trying to make improvements within our chapter's media to expand the amount of platforms we had, the amount of reach we were getting within our platforms, the type of print media we were producing, our verbal communications as well, like our outreach events and committees and everything like that. So that's what kind of led me to that role. And throughout my whole sophomore year, I took a big leadership role with trying to get our media off the ground and really running. And I found a huge love for that. Additionally, towards the end of my sophomore year was when I was placed on our marketing team. So for the marketing plan career development event, I was placed on that team with two other girls, and that kind of expanded my horizons of communications and marketing and all the different elements of that as well, and really built my skill set. So through there, I discovered that I had a big love for FFA in general. I loved leadership and I loved running media. So district office seemed like a really good step for me because it would allow me to impact even more people throughout the FFA and also be able to apply my communication skills on another level. So I ran for district reporter and was lucky enough to get that position. So through there, I was able to run our Instagram. I compiled a newsletter every month for the year. I updated our website, and then of course did the verbal communications with members and with my teammates, like my other teammates did as well. And so for 2 years, I was able to serve as the district reporter and run all of that media, which grew my skill set a lot more and allowed me to learn how to communicate with bigger groups of people and how to span communications so that way it reaches every audience you're trying to. And then my junior year, I was able to go to a conference. So I went to the National FFA Next Gen Agriculture Communications Conference in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas in March. And through there, a really big theme we talked about was building longer tables. So making ag appealing to consumers and making people want to learn more about it and want to be connected with the industry. And through learning about that and kind of learning different skills and ways to do that, I realized that that was something that I was super passionate about. As somebody who has grown up around ag, but has also had times where I wasn't around that, it was connecting both sides of the industry and was something that I knew would really help out with the agriculture industry, especially on social media, because there is a lot of misinformation that gets spread through that. And so sometimes it feels like there's more negative outlets for the agriculture industry than there is positive ones. And so I really, really wanted to be a positive voice for agriculture and present my information in a way that's really appealing to consumers. So after that conference, I decided to really take off with the platform and design a few different series, some brand colors, my logo, everything like that. And then I pushed myself to get started with my advocacy platform.
That's
That's so
awesome. I just
cool.
looked up the Next Gen FFA conference because I hadn't heard of that before. So, for those listening, can you talk a little bit about maybe when that was started? It sounds like it's newer, and then how you applied for it.
Yeah, of course. I'm not exactly sure when it was started. I'm pretty sure it was in like either the 20 like teens or like somewhere along those lines. But essentially, what the Next Gen conferences are built for is to discover and educate members on the different um, pathways that FFA offers, or like agriculture education offers. So all of the conferences align with a certain pathway. And so I found out about it because somebody from my chapter, so two older members, they were 2 years older than me. They went to the animal science one and they had a really fun time. And it was like a really cool experience that they had. And so I kind of did some research because sometimes it takes a little bit for them to announce like the themes of the coming conference. And then I saw one that said agriculture communications, and I said, oh, that's perfect for me. So essentially, what you do is you go online to National FFA or FFA.org, and there should be a next gen like conference section. If not, you could probably just type in FFA.org National FFA, like next gen conference. And through there, it took me to an application. And so the applications, I'm not sure how many pages there are, but they are like essay style questions. So it was questions similar to like, why would this conference be a good fit for you? Or what experience do you have? Or what are you hoping to take out of this conference? So questions that align greatly with what you're going to be learning and whether or not it will be a good fit for you and you'll have fun. So it was kind of a lengthy application, but definitely worth it.
That's super cool because
Awesome.
I hadn't heard of it either. Like, I don't think it was around back in my day. But that does seem really cool because it, like you said, there was like an animal science version. So it's almost like there's like subcategories to be like your like focus or something. That's really neat. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I was
I'm
just
like,
on the website and it looks like this year's for 2026 are power structure and technical systems in North Carolina, agribusiness systems in Chicago, Illinois, and animal systems in Kansas City, Missouri. So looks like there's some really great opportunities there. I had not heard of it either. I do believe it started last year though. So I think last year was actually the first year that they did it, which is super exciting, Ellie, that you got to participate so early on in something like that. I remember in high school wanting to know like more about certain areas and then going to college and feeling a little lost because I was like, I don't know what I want to major in. I know I wanted it to be in agriculture, but I just don't remember specifically, I never had an opportunity that connected me with something so precise or niche within the industry. So after that conference, were you feeling excited about your choice to go to Purdue for marketing and ad communications and all the things, or how did you make that decision?
Yeah, for sure. That's a great question. It definitely did. My choice to go to Purdue and what I'm majoring in was kind of a culmination of so many different FFA experiences I had. Harnessing like the management for my chapter's media and starting my own page was a big like shining light on agriculture communications for me, and it was something that I felt like I had a lot of good skills in, and so I would be able to apply them successfully in college, but I also would be able to learn a lot about it and be really excited about learning skills for it. Additionally, all the different contests I participated in were huge beacons for that as well, like the marketing plan CDE, the agriculture communication CDE. So Indiana FFA offers a like Indiana specific contest, and it's called Individual Ag Sales LDE. So it's kind of like the individual part of the team Ag Sales CDE, but it's just like by yourself. So you go into a room, you pitch your product off of a binder that you've created for whatever product you chose. And so I participated in that as well, which is another aspect of agriculture sales. So that's kind of why I decided to do that second major of marketing sales, because of the marketing contest and the sales contest. And it was always something I really enjoyed and loved doing research for and building plans. So all the different experiences that I had throughout FFA were just really building me to be able to decide what I wanted to do in college. And it's kind of funny because my freshman year, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I remember I was sitting in my ag teacher's classroom one time by her desk, and we were just talking. I was asking her, because she went to Purdue, I was asking her about like her Purdue experience, and I was like, well, like, could I major in ag ed if I didn't even want to be an ag teacher? She was like, yeah, like there's plenty of people that do, like, because you get so much experience to all the different aspects of the agriculture industry that a degree like that can apply to most jobs. And I was like, okay, like maybe I'll do that. But I wasn't sure. Like I never actually knew what I wanted to do. But throughout the 4 years at FFA, just taking every opportunity I could and really honing in on what I'm passionate about allowed me to see the ways that I wanted to go and what I wanted to major in college.
That's
I
amazing.
I love talking to FFA members because, good Lord, the way you just know that you've done public speaking. You can just tell that you have done that so much, and it's so crazy because I think about if I was talking to another like 18, 19-year-old and the way that culmination would never be in their vocabulary. And harness, I'm just listening to it like, yeah, that's an FFA kid.
We may have to like add the definitions of these words to
Yeah, I know.
the episode. I know one that Tanner's been trying to use because ChatGPT uses it all the time is delve. So
Like,
he's been
let's
trying to
delve into it.
yeah, let's delve into like I'm like, that's such an interesting word. He did use it the other day. I'm like looking at him right now. He did use it the other day in a conversation, which he then noted that he used it for all of us, so we could witness it.
But let's go ahead and connect this. So we've talked about your extensive and impressive ag career and everything in FFA. But let's talk about how it kind of worked into your personal journey, because you did make your own Instagram account, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that. And my big question is, as a TikToker, why did you do Instagram over TikTok? No, I'm just kidding.
So I actually do have TikTok as well.
Okay.
My
gotcha.
TikTok is more like influencer type content,
Okay.
I'd say. Like, so obviously my Instagram is very agriculture advocacy heavy. That's like where I do my main advocacy. And then I also have my A Bridge to Agriculture TikTok, but
Okay.
that's mainly like like lifestyle content. So that's mainly like vlogs maybe, or outfits or stuff like that, which I do highlight agriculture facts and try to advocate for agriculture on there as well. But my thought process with TikTok was to build a fan base by having more lifestyle content, and then use that as an avenue to kind of work into agriculture advocacy, I guess.
Yeah. So, fun fact, that's actually kind of what I do in a way. It was actually like the big conversation I had when I was on Farm for Profit the first time, because if you look at my content, like very surface level, some of it, like with my cattle specifically, looks very silly, goofy. Like I just sit on my big white cow snow. But what people don't understand is there's underlying ag, like, it's almost like it's a way to sneak in advocacy, because you bring people in with these cute, fuzzy, friendly cows. Because I showed cattle my whole life. My heifers are ex-show heifers. They're friendly. But I really realized I was doing something for the first time when I actually saw a Reddit thread where somebody was randomly asking if it was okay that this farmer had separated the babies from the moms and they heard them bawling. And I look in the comments, and the one with the most upvotes was, I watched this girl named Lacey on TikTok, and she actually explained that baby calves have to be weaned at around 6 months because it is just the time that they would naturally wean, and it helps the mom because it gives them a break, the babies. And I'm just watching this person that I don't know have all of this information on the ag industry and spread a positive outlet of the industry to other people because of my videos. And I was just like, wow, I am doing something, like that's really freaking cool.
Yeah.
So I do get you there. It's definitely, because if you just sat there every episode or like every video you made and was like, today I'm going to talk about the effects of this, people aren't going to watch it. It's finding that way of grabbing people's attention and getting them to watch, but then also incorporating that advocacy there.
Yeah, for sure. That's like my like niche, I would say, is definitely like the fashion side of things, which I feel like a lot of people like post about fashion, but
Yeah.
I love having like cute outfits, and I love that people can look at me and probably immediately know that I'm a part of the agriculture industry. And if they like the aspects of the outfit I'm wearing, maybe my jewelry or my clothes, then it's a great invitation for them to kind of find little ways to get involved in the industry, maybe by getting involved in the fashion. Because I know so many people personally and on social media who have started just getting into like Western or livestock fashion, and through that found ways to dive further into the agriculture industry and start supporting it and shining really positive lights on it. So my kind of mindset is if I have fun or engaging or relatable content, people will start finding little ways to maybe get involved, and then that'll lead to bigger ripples within the agriculture industry.
I think that's a great point there, Ellie, because I always think of like National Finals Rodeo. The fashion is insane, and people start asking questions then. And I always see more TikToks and more videos becoming more prevalent in the algorithm, not just for myself, but on some of my friends' pages. They'll they start to send me more stuff, and they're like, I just saw this and I feel like you would wear this. But also, like, did you know that this guy's this girl's husband is a bull rider? And then they get into all the other things that go along with agriculture or Western lifestyle. And so it's always interesting to see the little tiny things that connect people. But fashion's a huge one, I feel like.
I also think that that's something huge too, and that's something that I've learned from this podcast specifically, is how many different like contests, SAE projects, because you think of just what you do and then you talk to kids, like the amount of competitions and different things that I have learned on this podcast alone is insane. So you've had insane success in your contests. So can we talk a bit more about your marketing plan, the ag communications, all these different proficiency awards that you've gone? Like, let's just build your resume here for us, Ellie.
Okay. Yeah, of course. So the first like major success I had with a contest was probably my marketing plan. That's when I really kind of excelled nationally, I guess you would say, because I've always done contests in FFA. That was one of my biggest things I was passionate about within the FFA. I thought they were so fun, and I loved competing and being able to try my hand at different things. So I was always super involved in contests and did okay at district and state. But sophomore year, like I kind of mentioned earlier, I was placed on a team with two other girls from my chapter. They were a year older than me. And essentially with the marketing career development event in FFA is you pick a local agriculture company, and then you either choose to market that company itself or you create a new product for them to put within their business and talk about how to develop that product and market the product that you chose. And then you create a whole marketing plan involving all the different things that a typical marketing plan would have. So like target market, company background, the 4Ps, so placement, product, promotion, and I don't remember the fourth one. But you talk about the 4Ps, and then you also talk about the budget that you would have with it and the finances of everything that goes into it. So we chose a local winery and developed a mobile bar in a upcycled horse trailer. So essentially what we did is we got all the demographics that we would try and reach. So our target market, we had different surveys that we pulled from. We did a lot of research into what the industry would look like, market trends, industry trends, how consumers would feel about it, and then the best way to promote the winery's product of this new mobile barn trailer. So you create your whole marketing plan, and then additionally you create a 15-minute long presentation. You create a PowerPoint for it. You could have visual aids that you can use. And then the contest itself is they grade the marketing plan, and then you also go through and present your product, and then the judges will ask you questions on it. So we were fortunate enough to go through and win state, and then in June, so Indiana FFA state convention is always in June, and then we headed up to nationals in, I think it was October that year, and competed. So the way that nationals works for marketing is there's preliminary rounds and then semifinals, and then they pull from the semifinals to have the top four. So we went through prelims. We got fortunate enough to be able to be taken on to semifinals, but actually in semifinals, we were not moved on to top four. So we got I think it was top 16 maybe in the nation with our presentation, but they also grade your plans separately. So our plan was able to rank top 4 in the nation. They don't score them like actually rank them. They just say if you're top 4 or not. So we had success with our plan, maybe not quite as much as we wanted with our presentation, but I think that also shows that you can be successful in any aspect of a contest, and you don't have to narrow yourself to just one goal or outcome. We didn't get top 4 with our presentation, but we still got top 4 with our plan, and that was a huge accomplishment for us, and we were still really proud of ourselves. So from there, I was done with marketing because once you go to nationals, you can't compete in that contest again. even though I love marketing so much, probably one of my favorite contests, we weren't able to do it again. So the next year, I decided I wanted to do agriculture communications. Well, the first year that I did agriculture communications CDE was the year that they completely changed it. So it used to be, I'm not sure exactly how it was before because I never did it, but I know you used to have to create a communications plan out like before the contest based on like the prompt that they give you. And then in the contest, you watched a media conference and then went through the different practicums that you had and then had to do a presentation on your team plan. Well, they scratched that, and then for the first year, what they did is it was basically like extemporaneous public speaking, just with agriculture communications. So we went to the room, had nothing prepared. We watched a 30-minute media conference. We were able to ask questions, learn about what they were trying to communicate for, and then you get 3 hours. We had an hour and a half to do our individual practicums. So each person, it's a 4-person team, each person has one practicum that they're assigned to. So there's a video, there's a social media plan, there's a magazine layout, and then there's a like news story. So mine was the social media plan. I feel like it's pretty fitting. And then we all had an hour and a half to do our individual plans, and then we also had to compile a team communications plan with the justifications for each of our practicums. So we had 3 hours in total to do that. So my team won state, and then we were lucky enough to go to nationals. And at nationals, similar layout, the media conference plan, and then you also had to take a test on agriculture, like industry knowledge, and then also I think it was APA style formatting. So it was a 50 question test on that as well. So they compile all the scores of everything together to rank the teams. So because it was the first year that they had kind of redone the whole contest, my team really saw it as an opportunity to harness the skills necessary to be able to do really good, because everyone's going to be going in pretty blind. Everybody's trying to adjust to the contest. So let's make the most of it while we can. So we practiced really hard on our practicums and went into it with really open mindsets. And so at nationals, they rank your individual practicums, and then they also rank the teams as well. So I was able to win first nationally with my social media plan practicum, and then my team got 4th place as a team as well, which was really cool. So we got to go up on stage in front of all the people. Kind of nerve-wracking, but definitely really fun. So that was kind of the CDEs that I participated in nationally, and that I was able to thankfully find success in. And then additionally, my agriculture communications proficiency, I was able to get second at state my junior year, and then I won state this past year and was now selected as a top 4 finalist for the nationals.
That's so exciting. Lacey, have you ever judged any FFA contests?
So I judged an FFA, the job interview contest. I have judged one of those. And then it's actually funny because when you were talking about the marketing plan thing, it was not FFA related, but I did judge something extremely similar at my old college that I went to. They did like a Shark Tank spinoff. And because I have my own small business, I got to be one of the judges. So basically, they had to pitch us their plan, and the school came together and actually had money to give to like the winners, so that like as soon as you were talking about the marketing plan, I'm like, I've done something similar to this. It wasn't necessarily FFA related, but it was kind of similar.
Yeah, that's so cool.
That is really cool. I feel like so every year I try to go back and judge at our state level, and one of the ones I judge is the marketing competition usually. And it's always interesting to see the kids come in. It is very much like Shark Tank. That's a very good comparison of it. The kids come in and you can tell the ones that have, put more effort into their written plan, like you were talking about, really done the research and are really looking at their target audience and their demographics. And then you can see the other ones that are maybe really good at kind of going on the fly and are maybe better at their presentations, because there's been a few that they have a really good presentation. I'm like, does this kid actually know what their presentation is on? Like, they're saying all the right things, but also it does not match their written plan at all. So we've had situations like that too, but it's one of my favorite contests. Ellie, now that you're at your university and you're at Purdue, how are you taking, the knowledge you've gained during these competitions? Are you doing any internships? What does the future hold for you at Purdue and beyond?
Yeah, of course. I'd love to talk about that. So a big thing that I was really excited about when coming to Purdue was being able to join organizations that have really specific interests as to what I'm passionate about. That's the really cool thing about college, is that there's so many different club options, and every single one is pretty specific as to either what you're studying or what you really love doing. And so I decided to take every opportunity I could to join multiple different clubs. So as far as right now, I'm still trying to build my skills and get connected in different organizations. Some like the main ones that contribute to my majors are Agriculture Communicators of Tomorrow, which is a national club. It's built for people who are passionate about AgCom. We have different like conferences we can go to. We obviously meet with people with similar interests. And then my chapter specifically, we typically always have a guest speaker come and talk about their experience within the industry, and then we get to connect with each other through that. And then I'm also a part of the National Agri-Marketing Association team. So that is a contest that is very, very similar to the FFA contest of marketing, and it's just on a greater scale. So we have a 20-person team. I'm not sure if most colleges are like that, but our team at Purdue here is 20 people, and you have to apply and interview to be selected for the team. And from there, we have to create a brand new product. So we cannot pick like a company and give them a product. We have to pick something that is not patented, isn't on the market, and create a new product and develop a huge marketing plan and a presentation to be able to pitch that product to judges. So in April, we'll go to nationals and compete with that. So I'm really excited to be on that team and help contribute in that aspect. And then I'm also part of Block and Bridle, which is another national club. And through there, we get to get really connected to the livestock industry. And my chapter always does a livestock show at the beginning of the semester for college students. So we get to go to Purdue's farm, which is called the ASREC, and we get to pick out livestock animals. And then we can do cows, sheep, pigs, or horses. And so we get to pick out animals with that and show them in the show this coming fall. So I'm also part of that. And then I'm also a member of Purdue's Dairy Club. So I'm trying to find different organizations and opportunities to get really connected to the agriculture industry and expand my horizons in that aspect. I'm also maintaining my agriculture advocacy platform here in college and trying to find different connections and avenues within that. And then I am hoping to get a either agricultural communications or agricultural like marketing and sales internship this coming summer. Purdue is really, really good about setting students up with futures and making sure they stay connected to the career side of everything. And so, for example, next week we have our College of Agriculture Career Fair. So they're bringing in a bunch of different agricultural companies that students can come and network with, give them their resumes, talk to about potential internships or positions, and get those set up right away. So that way they're kind of set for this coming summer or potentially whatever semester you might want an internship for. So I'm just trying to find different avenues to really stay connected to my passions on top of my studies and also be able to network and really grow and expand my skill set.
It sounds like you're super involved. Every FFA student that we've talked to that is now in college is one of those that's in like 10 clubs. So I don't know how to keep it all straight because that's so many things that you're involved in. But I really do think it's cool that NAMA makes you create something totally new. I didn't know that part of it. So I'm wondering how many products have ever come out of that plan, like how many are on the market today that started in a NAMA club because of students, putting their minds together and thinking of something. You probably don't know off the top of your head. I'll look that up later, but yeah. Super cool. Can you share what yours is this year or not?
We actually don't have ours selected yet. So we actually just started doing practice for that. So we're still kind of building our ideas and foundations for that, but it's definitely something that has been an adjustment for me because I'm super used to being able to pick an agriculture company or maybe take a product that's already on the market and alter it slightly. So having to create something completely new is so interesting and is definitely a good learning curve. But that's kind of the good aspect of having so many people on a team because everybody is good at something. Like there's not a person on that team that can't be professional at least one aspect of that marketing plan. So we definitely have people that are more geared towards product design and innovation. So it's really helpful to have all different personalities and people on a team working for that because it's definitely something I'm not used to as much for sure.
There you go. I think that's for every team. And for those listening, when you get to the adult world, you have to work with teams all your life, regardless of where you're working, or when you're working. So, for example, ours, Tanner's really good at numbers and I am not. But you don't have to be good at everything. And that's the best part of being a part of a team, I feel like. Lacey, do you want to share anything else before we wrap things up with Ellie?
No, I think you hit it right on the head when you talked about, especially just that I feel like every FFA kid we've talked about, especially ones that are in college, they just are doing so many things. And it makes me excited because there's a lot of people, especially online, who are always afraid that agriculture is a dying art, and there's not enough people inspired or excited about agriculture. And so to hear somebody like Ellie who just wants to do every aspect and wants to dive into every single element that she can, it really makes me happy because it's something I love. And so seeing that that passion is not dying anytime soon is really exciting.
There you go. Well, Ellie, thank you so much for joining us on Beyond the Jacket. Your journey shows the power of communication, not just in telling Ag's story, but in connecting people in the industry in new and creative ways and beyond the industry, too. We can't wait to see what you'll continue to do and accomplish at Purdue. We're looking forward to seeing how your competitions end this year with NAMA and all the other things. And for our listeners, make sure to check out Ellie's advocacy platforms, A Bridge to Agriculture. And remember that no matter your background, there's always a place for you in agriculture. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time on Beyond the Jacket.